Hello and welcome to another mod review. Some of you might remember we did a mod review a long time back with The Snap. It was a fun little mod. Today we are going to look at Missions Expanded mod, which is bigger in scope and changes the gameplay significantly. We also have the lead developer for Missions Expanded mod along with some esteemed guests today. So welcome Lazyboy, EnigmaticRose and Stiopa. Let's start with the introductions. Lazy, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yes, so I'm Lazyboy Online. I'm a university student, master's degree in informatics in progress at the moment. I play quite a lot of EU4 and generally online competitive games like Rocket League and fighter games. Last time I was on, I also played Osu, but since then I have completely quit it. I like playing quite challenging starts in EU4, trying to go for more stable, slow and steady runs, more than just wild, all-ins, destructive economy.
Like your Maldives start. Holy crap, that was crazy.
Yeah, those are enjoyable when they work, but sometimes the failures are also fun.
Yeah, alright. So you enjoy more challenging starts. So you're definitely an EU4 player on the higher end of expertise, right?
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is EnigmaticRose4, just call me Rose. I have a master's in education, but I stream on Twitch and I do YouTube videos as well, primarily focused on Paradox games, with Crusader Kings 2 being the top one. In fact, I believe I taught Rez here how to play CK2 live.
True.
But I also have several hundred hours in EU4 and quite enjoy the game, as well as the other Paradox iterations and other grand strategy games.
Great. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this episode will know Rose already. And if you want to check her out, I'll definitely post the links in the description later.
Thank you.
I'm Stiopa, the lead developer of the mod, and nowadays I usually play strategy titles from Paradox as well as non-AAA games from smaller studios.
Okay. These are still strategy games, or do you play other games as well?
Mostly sandbox.
Yeah, EU4 is also kind of like a sandbox game, right? It doesn't have a mission, it doesn't have an end game. Like, it doesn't have an objective per se, right? You just start a nation and you play and play and play.
And shape it the way you want.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And I am Radio Rez. Most of people here, hopefully they're joining my channel, would know who I am. I'm not going to flex on my degrees like a couple of people here did. But yeah, I've been playing EU4 for a while. I just crossed the 1444 mark actually. So now I actually completed the tutorial for EU4, getting close to 1500 hours. And yeah. So today we'll talk about a mod, Missions Expanded. It's a part of a larger subgroup of mods that's called Expanded. So it's Mission Expanded, Governments Expanded, Ideas probably mistaken there. But we are going to talk about Missions Expanded mods. And we have the lead developer, Stiopa, here with us. Stiopa, how long has it been since you have been working on the mod?
Well, I joined 2 weeks after the mod had been initially released on the 1st of April 2018.
Okay.
And that means that I've been working on this mod for almost 2 years now, and I'm very happy with my performance. My skills in design, in creating content have increased quite a bit, and I'm really happy with it.
Nice. So you have a coding background?
No, when I started coding, or rather scripting for the mod, I had no coding experience back then. But now I'm learning C++ and Python.
Nice. That's excellent. You said the mod has been alive for 2 years now, almost 2 years, you said in April. And you have a team of modders there, or how many guys do you have with this mod particularly, the Missions Expanded mod?
We have a core team of coders. Around counting up to around 10, plus a fair amount of contributors who help with research, localization, and graphics.
So basically what this mod does is it adds missions to a lot of different countries. And there's missions in vanilla EU4 as well, obviously, as everyone here has played. But it's limited to certain nations. The nations that aren't very popular don't have a lot of missions in their mission tree. And unfortunately, even some countries that are famous does not have a lot of missions. Like Mamluks, I think, should have a huge mission tree, but they just don't. They have like 5 missions, if I remember correctly, from my long ago playthrough. And same with Papal State doesn't have a mission tree either, right? Like it has like 3 missions or something. What this mod does is it adds a ton of missions to a lot of countries. And how many countries do you have there? Like how many unique missions tree do you have with this mod? Do you have a number?
Well, if files are believed to be indicator, we have almost 300 trees.
300?
But many of those are small trees in the Europe region for really minors.
Okay.
So I would say that the amount of higher quality trees that are not minor would amount to around 200.
That is still a lot of trees. Although EU4 has what, 700 tags or something crazy like that?
Almost 800 now, I bet.
800 tags, yeah. I mean, the vanilla games with all the DLCs, that is, probably has what, 50 trees? Good quality trees, including all the Indian ones that came with Dharma, right?
I think India alone has like probably 20-ish at the very least.
Okay.
So it's probably upwards of 70, 80 trees.
Okay. One thing I wanted to talk about is that I don't usually play with mods. All I use is graphics map improvement and Stellaris UI font, just a graphics mod. I want to hear from you guys if you play with mods or do you just play vanilla EU4? And if you play with mods, then why do you usually choose those mods? We'll start with Rose here.
I tend to not play with mods unless it's something like a big overhaul mod, which is usually more in HOI4 rather than EU4.
Mm-hmm.
I do use like a graphical map mod like you suggested, or like you use. I just prefer the more vanilla experience, typically. Though, looking at the mission trees here, it definitely is a vast improvement for several nations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree there. And is it just that you haven't tried mods because you're still enjoying vanilla? Or is it something like you're really not interested in trying mods at all?
It's more to do with I particularly love the base game.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying out mods, like I'll try it out, I might play one game with it, but I've never found a mod that like a full overhaul mod that I will return to for 3, 4, 5, 6 games.
Yeah.
Like the base games are such open sandboxes that the possibilities are already fairly limitless.
Right. I'm with you on that. I think the replayability that EU4 vanilla adds is big enough for me that in my limited time that I play EU4, I have enough things to play with. Lazy, what do you think?
I am quite on the same side. As a beginner player, like 4 years or so ago, I did try some of the overhaul mods, but I never enjoyed any of them as much as I enjoyed the base game. Kind of stuck to that until now. I do use quite a few enhancement mods though, like I have, of course, the graphical enhancements, music mods, interface mods, etc., but nothing that actually changes the mechanics of the game.
Okay. I want to tag on to that because I think that's one thing that this mod does well, is make the game a little bit easier and I think more approachable for beginner to intermediate level players, because people get into this game and I see the comments on my guides all the time. People are asking very basic questions. So even with first 100 hours of game, people don't have much idea what they're doing. And I think what this particular mod brings in is that it's kind of like a guideline of what to do next. And so it makes the game slightly easier to interpret, to figure out what to do next and how to proceed. Do you think that's a good idea for what the mod does, Stiopa?
Well, I've certainly had that opinion in the past. In many cases, I think it's true. For example, the French tree guides you through things like Burgundian inheritance, or at least gives missions to complete it. And the Teutonic tree tries to encourage to prevent the Danzig event.
Oh, the Danzig event. Okay, so
yes.
Rose, did you feel the same way, that it made the game slightly easier in that it gives you some waypoints on how to proceed?
Yes, like I took a particularly long look at the Genoan tree because that's what I've been playing in the base game lately.
Okay.
In the base game, you have the generic mission tree and then it kind of sends you off to Tunis. And that's pretty much it, unless you leave the HRE. It's a very limited mission tree for Genoa.
Right.
Here, they still include the Tunis part, but they also add so much more, like conquering Italy, acquiring Nice, Parma, Lucca, all those juicy provinces here that will help you form Rome, that will help you form Italy.
Okay.
Which is sort of an end goal for a lot of people when they are playing here as a smaller nation in Italy.
Yep, definitely. You go usually Italian Minor, Italy, and then Roman Empire, right?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. All right, cool. Lazy, I know you tried, Teutonic Order, and you had similar feelings about it?
Yes, I tried the Teutonic Order, but also Japan, Champa, and some other nation I forgot.
Why did you try Champa? What is wrong with
I
you?
was clicking randomly. I was basically just clicking randomly through the map and checking which nation had a tree.
Okay.
The only tree I played through fully was the Teutonic tree. Well, fully is a big word, like I just did the beginning of it.
Okay. And you think it makes playing Teutonic Order a bit easier?
Quite a lot easier, I'd even say.
Quite a lot easier.
Easy is relative in all Paradox games, but especially EU4.
Exactly. Yep.
I would agree with that, yes.
Yeah. All right. So talking about mission trees, Stiopa, you said that you have 200 plus good mission trees. So if someone is signing in right now to this mod, what would you suggest them to try out first? Like, which are the best mission trees that you have in game?
Well, certainly the best mission trees come from our two latest updates, 1.8 Silk and Gunpowder and 1.9 Land of the Rising Sun, which are Anatolia, Persia, Caucasia and Japan respectively. The best trees from these regions, in my opinion, would include Ayyubids, Ardabil, Timurids, trees for both of the Koyunlu nations, Japan and Great Britain, which was released sometime before Silk and Gunpowder. Though don't let that fool you, there are also many great trees outside these regions as well, such as Spain, Inca, Kilwa, Mali, France, Netherlands, Russia, Rhineland, Swabia or Germany.
Okay, nice. So you said Ayyubids in the mission trees. That tag doesn't exist in the vanilla game, so you guys added a new tag as well there, seems like.
We added a fair amount of tags, especially in Germany and Persia and Caucasian Anatolia regions, since we adopted a policy of making small tags have missions to expand to form regional tags, which then would form a even larger tree, which would have the greatest expansion opportunities.
That's pretty good though. So my initial evaluation of this mod when I looked at it is like, okay, it's missions expanded, it just adds extra missions, but it seems like you guys also worked on more depth to the game itself in that you added more tags to it. And earlier you mentioned the mission tree for France also included Burgundian inheritance. Did you guys also change that a little bit, or is that just a regular Burgundian inheritance that just happens?
No, we didn't really change Burgundian inheritance, but we introduced some new events in other regions.
Okay.
Such as the fall of Herat in Persia, which may happen if a Timurid prince occupies the Timurid capital for 1 or 2 years, I believe. It kind of works like a Burgundian inheritance.
Interesting. So yeah, this part I wasn't aware of, but this makes the mod even better in that if you add more layers to the game and not just missions, then that's definitely a plus. So it goes to Rose. Rose, you played a little bit of this, and most of the missions, it seems, are expansion based. But if you have played other vanilla EU4 mission trees, you'll see that some are expansion based, but some also add flavors and events. So do you think mission trees should focus more on expansion, or do you think the flavors are the way to go? Because if you focus on expansion, that makes it easier for newer players to get a hang, you know, how to expand and things, that what people like, because
Yes.
it's a map painting game after all. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'd argue that about map painting, but sure.
You don't think it's a map painting game? I think it's an exclusive map painting game.
I do think a good mix is necessary, especially because you can't be at war 100% of the time, especially with the changes that are coming to 1.3 with the mercenaries.
Yeah,
No matter how high your income is, manpower is going to be an issue.
we'll see. But yes, mostly I agree with you that yes, it's not going to be as easy as it is right now, where you just spam mercs and you're fine. And Lazy, I know you don't care about mercs because you go expansion anyways. I think your training in Osu has trained you well to just micro the armies better than everyone else. But what do you think? Do you think expansion is the way to go to just bring on the training wheels, or do you think as adding flavor to these missions is also equally important?
I think a healthy balance is important between both, because the beginner players will need the flavor and will also enjoy the flavor as well, which also lets players who prefer role-playing or slower play have their fun in the game. Players who like expansions can still pick the nations that have big expansion trees, like the Ottomans, for example. So I believe a good balance is the best.
Okay.
Though I do hope there's not going to be any manpower missions like Castile and England.
Like just missions that give you manpower?
No, missions that require a certain amount of
Oh yeah,
manpower.
no, those are the worst. Also, I don't like the
Yeah.
force limit ones either. Like 100% force limit, those are terrible missions.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to run 100% force limit unless necessary
No,
anyways.
never. Almost.
Which, speaking of that, that's one thing that's nice looking at the Genoan tree here, is usually, one of the generic motion trees is to get 100% force limit. Here, it's just 75% force limit and at least one general, which I find much more reasonable.
That is more reasonable. I love that. Yeah, I really hope that vanilla EU4 will change it to that. So coming back to Stiopa, seems the public wants a good balance between expansion-based and flavor-based missions. So do you guys have that, or do you guys mostly focus on expanding nations' borders?
We try to strike out a balance between both. But we try to give each tree at least a little bit of expansion, as it is definitely the most common playstyle, at least from my observations. But the mission trees are not always focused on expansion. The Kill One tree, I believe, at least I recall,
Sure.
is mostly focused around trade and developing yourself. We also have missions that leave the tall white criteria a little bit. For example, in the Hohenstaufen version of the Swabia tree. Swabia tree is
Hohenstaufen? What's that?
Yes, it was a medieval dynasty which ruled the Holy Roman Empire, mainly known for its Holy Roman Emperor Barbarossa. I'm sure you have heard of him,
Yeah.
which is available free event for Catholic Swabia to be picked. And that mission tree focuses very little on expansion. In fact, it incentivizes the player to become the Holy Roman Emperor and to expand the empire beyond its borders with special casus belli, which allows the player to bring northern Italy to the fold, as well as France and Netherlands. The mission tree also gets an event to establish a Jesuit Counter-Reformation Center, which works like a Protestant Reformation Center, with the difference that it converts Protestant and Reformed provinces back to Catholic.
That is really smart. I like that idea a lot. And you also mentioned special CBs, so you guys have definitely added a fair bit of new game mechanics to it as well. That is the part that I like more than just the missions, that you guys are adding more mechanics to the game. And I think you should change your mod name to like Missions Expanded and Beyond or something like that. So people are like, oh, there's more to it than just missions. So does the mod work with all the DLCs, or is there, like, if you disable some DLCs, does the mod work? Is it compatible with all of that complexities that EU4 comes with?
We aim to have all mission trees available to the player with no DLCs. Missions that require stuff like prosperity have alternative requirements for non-DLC users.
Nice.
So around 95% of DLC requirements have specific alternative requirements. If there are missions that have DLC requirements and they don't have alternatives, please contact us, because we don't want that.
Yeah, that seems great. Considering you said you have a small core group of coders, it's not like you have a lot of people working on it. So that's really impressive. So we are going to do a quick thing here. I did this with my last mod review. We rated the mods based on 5 categories. It was very arbitrary, and it's going to be very subjective, but we are not going to delve deep into it. So the 5 categories that we rated were game performance, aesthetics, flavor, game mechanics, and meme potential. So game performance is how well did the game run on your system? Does it cause any lag compared to the vanilla EU4?
I haven't noticed any lag in any of my test runs. So like absolutely nothing different from vanilla. So from my point of view, it's a 5 out of 5 performance-wise. I play on a Mac laptop, so usually my game is relatively laggy. So even minor changes in performance are felt on my computer, but this didn't do any difference.
I'm on PC, and I noticed no change in performance even running it on speed 5.
But you have a very good computer, don't you?
I do have a pretty good computer, yes.
But you didn't notice any game performance changes at all. It was running all fine. There were no crashes and stuff like that.
No crashes.
All right. Stiopa, so it seems like you guys have made it better. Like it does not lag. With all these new mission trees and AI thinking about all those things. Did you guys optimize it really, or the game just does it really well and you guys didn't need to do anything on that part?
Well, we certainly have a skilled coder that helps us optimize many things. But outside of that, the whole content of events, missions is not really CPU intensive.
All right, so I hear 5 out of 5 for game performance from everyone. Next is aesthetics. It's basically just how the game looks. Does this mod change anything on the graphical side of things? I don't think it does, right? I mean, you can say the mission, what is called mission icons. Do they look nice, or are they just generic looking? What do you think, Lazy?
I find that some of the icons actually have a surprising amount of detail.
Yeah.
Which was a nice touch. So yeah, apart from that, the mod doesn't add anything visually, but I guess if UI counts into it, some of the mission trees can be a bit of a pain to scroll through, like mission trees that have a part at the very bottom and a part at the very top where you can do both relatively at the same time. Mm-hmm. Constant scrolling up and down is a bit annoying, so from me it's a 4 out of 5.
I like the images for the mission trees. They feel like they fit in with the base game images. One thing about it, though, is it does, as Lazy was pointing out, having to scroll from the top to the bottom, because some of them do start lower down, can be a little frustrating in the bigger trees. And then there's also at the bottom where it says missions expanded, and then it's got 5 little images, which I'm assuming are to show each of the different expanded mod packs, but it doesn't tell you what they do there. And there's no tooltip when you hover over them, so that is a little confusing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a newer player and you're not sure what these buttons are there for, because they're not really buttons.
Right. Okay.
So a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Third is flavor. This mod definitely adds a lot of flavor to the game. I would definitely rate it 5 out of 5 in the things that I have heard. Obviously, it's hard to evaluate mod on flavor when you haven't played like so many mission trees. We have only few hours on them yet. But hearing about all the different mission trees, hearing about all the mechanics you have added, hearing about the new tags, I will give this 5 out of 5 on flavor. What do you guys think, Lazy?
As far as flavor goes, yes, definitely extremely good mod in that perspective. The only thing I find is it kind of funnels you down a single playstyle. It doesn't let you explore too much within the mission tree, but that's really the only thing I would have to say in that sense. So I would give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
The main focus of missions is to add flavor, and I do see what Lazy is saying. It does seem to only be one way to play the missions for each nation, which does make replayability with the same nation a bit harder.
That's true.
Unless you want to ignore the bonuses that you get from completing the missions. But on the other side of that, as he said, there are 300 current missions. So while you may not want to play the same nation again, you've got 299 more games to go play.
Right.
So I would give it a 5 out of 5 for flavor.
Okay. But do you want to add something to that, or do you agree with what people said?
Well, I won't be humble this time and rate it 5 out of 5. But I will add though that some of the trees have places or rather events that allow you to pick a different tree. Like the previously mentioned Schwabia, which has 2 different major trees to pick from. Mm-hmm. Republican, which is very toll focused, and the Hohenstaufen Catholic for HRE play.
Okay.
Also, Japan has a choice between isolationist, or rather naval colonialist, and expansion.
Okay, so you guys also have gated trees in that you have to complete certain things to get that part of the tree.
Well, you got a choice when you form Japan.
All right. So you are definitely on a 5 out of 5 category here.
Yes.
Okay, so next is game mechanics. Basically, we are trying to see how well the mod changes the core mechanics in the game.
I think that as far as mechanics go, the mod works quite well. I haven't noticed any bugs, I haven't noticed any weird behavior at all. One thing I have noticed though that bothered me was on the Teutonic tree, at least, you can't get blocked out of huge parts of the mission tree by just having bad luck. I got 2 events that fired which lowered my burger's loyalty. Meaning that I did not manage to curtail burgers in time, which completely knocked me from out of the mission tree because I could not do the Prussian Confederation decision. That's one complaint I've got, but everything else seems to work quite fine. Again, I would give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay, Rose, what do you think?
Aside from the missions and completing them and the rewards from completing them, I didn't see any other changes to game mechanics during my playthrough. So I don't feel I can give a review on that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Stiopa, do you want to add something to that?
If I were to put a rating on this, I would certainly add 5, since I really respect all the thought and work that my other friends which work with me on the mod have put into various mechanics, and just the sheer dedication they've put into them. Regarding the part where Lazyboy mentioned the mission blocking you from progression due to not curtailing the Prussians, we are trying to root out these old missions, these relics of the past, if I may name them. We generally try not to block people from completing the missions, and we try to add on alternative requirements to skip these missions or to complete the mission in a different way and get a different reward, which is also a mechanic that we have used in many other mission trees.
That's good. And yeah, it's really nice of you to credit your fellow coders there. The last category that we have is meme potential. Does the mod has any potential to generate some quality meme content? And I'm talking 2020 quality meme content here. So come on guys, give me something.
I think it does, definitely. It is a very serious mod with, you can feel that it has quite a lot of effort put into it recently.
Wait, did you say fun? You guys played?
Yes.
Games can't be fun.
What I wanted to note was that Byzantium and Albania completely kicked the Ottomans out of the Balkans.
Wow, really?
In my run, yes, without my intervention at all.
Nice.
And that actually the almighty Ulm also blobbed into like 5 provinces by like, I don't remember, 1480 or something.
Okay, that's it. That's 5 out of 5 meme potential. Ulm blobbing into 5 provinces. That's it. Okay, that's all I needed to hear. Rose, what do you think?
I think there's potential. Again, I spent most of my time looking at Genoa, but with them, you totally get claims on Constantinople.
Genoa gets claims on Constantinople? That's cool.
Yes.
Okay.
So, you can be the Venice of the next century.
Right. Excellent.
And ruin the Ottomans' day like they ruined the... my brain just... Byzantines! Thank you!
Yes.
There you go. Like the Venetians ruined the Byzantines' day, you can ruin the Ottomans' day as the Genoans.
Nice. All right. And Stiopa, do you want to add something to it?
Yes, I have.
This is the most important part of the conversation, by the way. We have gone 15 minutes now.
I have certainly a fair bit to add on this matter since I know the mod pretty well.
Okay,
I for one part, remember that we have a event for the Aztecs to reform the government, and one of the options is called Let the Mesoamerican Steppes Guide Us.
Let the Mesoamerican Steppes guide us. Okay.
Yes, which switches you into a Mesoamerican horde. Which I find pretty ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I know in vanilla EU4 you can play as horde Aztecs, but we have to do a lot of things to get there. But if you can just click a mission and become Mesoamerican horde, that's amazing.
Also, there we have an Easter egg for Revolted Tag of Malta. If you somehow manage to play as the Revolted Tag of Malta, which is certainly not a very pleasurable thing to get, since you have to do a fair bit of tag switching so the Maltese separatists spawn, you get access to a mission tree that will let you form Carthage, which is also pretty far-fetched.
That's awesome. I love that part. So you have to do some shenanigans to get Maltese rebels, and then you become Malta, and then you can create Carthage. That's awesome. And okay, so meme potential, what do you guys say? 5 out of 5? I think we can agree that.
Yes, definitely.
I would say Ulma out of 5.
Ulma out of 5. Oh god, he's going next level. All right, great. And that was the meat of this whole discussion. I think we got a good insight on what the mod is about. I got a good insight that this mod is not just about missions. It has more layers to than just adding missions. But I want to close this with just Stiopa, tell us more about what the next step on this mod is. I'm guessing you are still going to continue developing this mod further. So where do you want to take it next after this?
Well, as per a voting on our Discord server, we are continuing further down on our East Asia patch, which is going to now include China, hopefully Qing and Manchuria, and Korea. I'm personally working on Korea, and I want to add a pretty thorough mission tree to it, as well as work on governments expanded some more, and add some government reforms to that mod as well.
All right. Yeah, and I was going to bring that up too, that there are other expanded mods. Can you tell a little bit about them? Are you also involved in all the other expanded mods, or is that a separate coding community?
Well, of course, first of all, not all expanded mods are equal. Not all mods that have the suffix expanded on the workshop are from our team.
Of course.
We all share the same Discord server, and we have access to each other's channels, so we can provide feedback, work together, and we as a whole try to incentivize the player to use them all together. But of course, we try to make the expanded mods standalone, so the player can handpick each one at will as per their preferences.
That's nice. They work together. That's a really good thing too. They actually interact with each other if you have multiple expanded mods together.
Yeah, in fact, in Missions Expanded, we add alternative requirements and rewards for players using the other expanded mods. Some of them being, for example, if one chooses to use Trade Goods Expanded, which adds more trade goods into the game, some of the mission events triggered by different missions allow you to change a trade good in a specific province to a different one. For example, in my Ryukyu tree, you have a chance to change your trade good to gunpowder because the archipelago was known for its sulfur production.
Okay.
We also have, for example, the formable of Caucasia has a special tier 1s with governments expanded that add different election system and new factions to Caucasia.
Very interesting. All right, so that's definitely something we can look at maybe in future mod reviews. We can talk about other expanded mods. Which one is your favorite expanded mod other than Missions Expanded, Stiopa? I'm putting you on spot here.
Well, considering I have worked the most on Governments Expanded other than Missions Expanded, I'm going to pick Governments Expanded.
All right, we'll give that a try and see how I feel about that. And that was everything I wanted to talk about on this mod. Thank you Lazy, Rose and Stiopa for joining me. It was great to hear your insights, and thank you everyone for watching this video or podcast, I guess. Anyways, thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.